Hello, and welcome to the Tin Shed Podcast. I am your host, some guy that works in a warehouse, Aaron McDonald. I've been interested in this sort of thing, mainly broadcasting, for a very long time. So, creating a podcast, or coming up, and actually a website along with it, tinshedpodcast.com, it seems like a natural thing to do. And hopefully it's something that I can keep doing weekly. And hopefully it's something that gets put out that people like to listen to. First thing that I'm going to kind of touch on here. I made some notes, and I know as I'm going through that I'm just going to kind of go off track altogether. So I just jotted a couple little things down. The first thing I want to touch on is I think in general, as a population, I think that we're getting more and more pussified. And something that I want to do is make a podcast where you're not always going to agree with what you hear. But I also want to make something that people are going to laugh at or think about something or whatever. But just forget about something being inappropriate or not. If it's funny, just fucking laugh. And do your best. And I promise everybody that listens to this, I will do my best to never apologize for anything on this show. Now, if you could see this, because this is just audio, I actually did the finger quotes for when I said show. It's not really a show. It's just some fucking dude that works in a warehouse who is currently standing in a shed by the name of Aaron McDonald. Getting back to the being pussified. Remember the big Powerball draw in the States? And they go up and ask this dude what he would do if he won. And he comes up with cocaine and hookers. That was fucking awesome. It was great. And this is timing. A lot of good comedic timing. And what the fuck? What the fuck happens afterwards? This guy goes out and he says something funny. In the fucking 90s and the early 2000s. Right up until the early 2000s. Every news broadcast in the States or Canada, you go through their archives, there's probably one fucking dude that always says some smart-ass answer. But this time, this fucking guy, he had to make a public apology. He got up there, I'm a loving husband with children. What I said was wrong. And I deserve to be made a public example of. Well, he didn't really say that. I'm just embellishing. He said something fucking funny. Inappropriate. Whatever. It's frustrating when you see what's happening. Where people get offended by everything. Or people are apologizing before people get a chance to even get offended. So, it seems like now the typical response for anything that you hear is, oh my goodness, I hope my children didn't hear that. What do we do as parents? Meanwhile, their kid is playing fucking South Park Stick of Truth, giving Randy Marsh a fucking abortion. Yeah. What a way to kick it off, eh? First podcast, cocaine, hookers, and abortions. Oh yeah. This is still sort of an intro to a podcast. Back on track here, I'm sorry. I'd also like to be able to promote small businesses. I think that one thing that is lacking nowadays is there isn't a push towards entrepreneurship like there was in the 90s. Again, going back to the 90s. In high school, we had an entrepreneurship course. They would teach you things, how to do a business plan. And to me, that makes sense because being in control of your own, looking back on it, I should have paid more fucking attention in that class. It sucks having to work for somebody. It really does. And so, I don't know. And I always favor the little guy. So, the small business people, I'm always going to be a fan of them. So why not do something where they can shine? I wouldn't say shine. It's not like what I'm doing is a great thing. I'm doing a fucking hobby, and what I'm trying to say is, if people are listening to it, and enough people are listening to it, yeah, I'll fucking support. I'll mention small businesses on my podcast all the time. fuck, if somebody even wanted to come on and talk about their business and plug it, you can come on here and do it. If this thing takes off. If enough people listen to it. So basically that means me kind of out doing it. Doing podcasts. Sounds like I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it. No, nothing like that. Yeah. I'm doing good at staying on track. But yeah, small businesses. It's yeah. You know what? Fuck that. If you're a small business, if you own a small business and you're listening to it and you want the word to get out, go to tinshedpodcast.com and you go to the contacts. You can link to you can email, you can link to Twitter or Facebook through the links on that page and message me. And I'll mention it. I don't care. If your business is, I don't know, say something funny. Ink. I'll put it up there. I'll mention it. And, fuck. Yeah, I'm glad that this is the first podcast, so as I'm doing this, I can see what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, what about winter? We're not having a bunch of a winter here. It's barely a winter. And I gotta say, I like this winter compared to other winters. I think that, as I get older, the less I give a shit about the cold, the more I tend to dislike it, I should say. Like really, there was some cold days this year. Like in Nova Scotia, it's been a pretty mild winter. Like I don't think it's hit below -15 yet. But I don't give a fuck. To me, winter is still a 4-month kick in the dick. And hopefully it gets better after 3 months. But this winter so far, pretty good. My dogs, on the other hand, they seem to be all right with the winter and the snow, which is kind of funny because one of my dogs, it's actually we got 3 dogs. We got a mother and she had pups. She got away roughly 2 years ago today, or this month, in around here somewhere. She got away. Anyway, she came back. She started to get a little chubby. Right away I knew, fuck, gonna have puppies. Anyway, make a long story short, we had the pups. We ended up keeping 2 of them. So Lucy, my girl, the mummy dog, she's like a Beagle Jack Russell mix. So she doesn't have very long legs, and she got a short little stubby body. So, and her kids, both of her pups are bigger than her. So it's pretty funny. So anyway, getting back onto the winter and the snow and the dogs liking it. I try to picture winter from their point of view. And I thought it would be a good idea to shovel back all this snow so they wouldn't have to go running through all this deep snow to do their business. And yeah, I did that, and what happens? They decide to climb up the pile of snow that I made, shoveling the snow back for them to cut their little doggy ropes. Or, trudge around through the deep snow on the other side doing these little fucking circles. You know how a dog goes to do a circle. Instead of doing their business in the little shit sanctuary that I had made, we've got Mount Shitmore and a bunch of fucking doggy snow angels in the backyard. Like, I don't know, I use doggy snow angel because you picture them going around in a circle. And when we do something in the snow, we usually do in a snow angel. And yeah, I just come to the conclusion too that they're shitty artists. Shitty artists. Shitty artist, shit sanctuary, Mount Shitmore. There we go. I'm not even 10 minutes into it, and I've done cocaine, hookers, shit sanctuary, Mount Shitmore, and dogs cannot do art very good at all. Hey, did anybody hear about this fucking University of Ottawa? This to me takes the fucking cake. It was a yoga instructor that was with the University of Ottawa. Now this woman, who taught yoga for I don't know how fucking long. We'll say it was a fair amount of time though. Anyway, she got canned. They were let go, however, dismissed, contract not renewed. because the student union thought that for a white person to be teaching yoga was wrong. It's what, I forget what they called it, cultural appropriation. Just a more PC bullshit term, political correctness bullshit term for it. Yeah, like it's basically what they're saying is that if you're not Indian, that it's wrong for you to teach yoga. So when I read this, the first thing I pictured was student union making this fucked up decision, trying to score these fucking whatever you want to call these goddamn social brownie points, make themselves look good. We're so PC. Our yoga teacher, they're from whatever, India. I think they ended up hiring somebody that was of Indian descent. Like Canadian, Indian, however the fuck you say it. Somebody whose ancestry is fucking Indian. Okay? And when I say fucking Indian, I don't mean, goddamn fucking Indians. I mean, India. They were born and their background is India. Fucking India. I don't know how else to say it. I like to use the F word a lot sometimes. Anyway, the same group of people that decided it was wrong for a white person to be teaching yoga because it wasn't part of their culture probably went into their cafeteria at their school or university or whatever. I imagine there's somewhere where they can get food and ordered poutine from a dude named Henry. Going by their fucked up logic, shouldn't the person that made that goddamn poutine be Belgian and French descent? Isn't it just a little bit racist to hire somebody or let somebody go based on their background, their ethnicity? Which really what they did. These are our future leaders. These are the people that are going to be leading us when people my age are seniors. And they just flip-flop. Are these people going to learn enough in the short time that they're in school that you can't flip-flop to make or just do what you think is the right thing, trying to please everybody by singling out a group or another group? It's stupid why people do that. Can't buy into that. I can't buy into guilt over things that happened a long fucking time ago. Yeah, shitty things probably happened to people from India at one time. Probably a lot of racism. There probably still is a lot of racism out there. Hopefully there isn't as much as what there used to be. But that person that was teaching yoga, and I got to give her credit. I don't even know what her fucking name is. I can't remember, and I should have shown a little more respect towards what happened to this lady. But she's not complaining at all. She's taking it all in stride. The true yoga fucking persona. Just brush it off. Hey, life goes on. And just the stupidity of it just floors me. Fucking floors me. And that was it for the notes. Now I'm just on fucking free fall here. Well, that was part of my notes. I just kind of skimmed through them, and I probably missed some. But, yeah. Oh, big UFC event this weekend past. I'm dating this podcast, so it's going to have to go up fairly quick. It wasn't a big event. It was a TV event. But there was some pretty interesting fights on it. The Sage Northcutt hype train got derailed. Why do they do that? When I say they, I mean sports promoters. They get this talent that's coming up. A lot of fucking talent this kid has. Very gifted athlete. And they pump him up, and they hype him up, and they put him in front of the cameras. He's smiling all the time. He's got the rippling abs. Everybody loves this kid. Pleasant. And what do? They put him in there with a guy that wants to run through this fucking kid to make a goddamn point. And what happens? The kid gets fucking beat down. Demoralized. Came out, he had a great first round. Don't get me wrong. He had a really good first round. Yeah, he just came out in the second round and he threw a kick that wasn't really intended. or shouldn't have been thrown, really. And he got caught. He gets down on the ground. He takes his fucking beating. He gets choked out. He's graceful in defeat. And what does the fucking internet do? The same as what it does to anybody else. Kicks you in the nuts and you're down. Like this kid, he's fucking 19 years old, and people are shitting on him. Oh, so much for the next big thing. Derp, derp, derp. Like, the kid's 19 years old, and he's fighting in the world's largest MMA promotion. I'm 40. And when I first seen the UFC, I probably, if I tried my fucking hardest, done everything I fucking could, trained full fucking time, I could never get to where that kid is. Never. I would never be able to do it just because the sheer competition involved in MMA. So maybe this internet thing, they should just kind of realize that, you know, he fucking, maybe that's why it is. Maybe people hate on this kid because he accelerated so quickly. Who's to say? I don't know. To me, I think it's pretty cool when you see, well, I'm an MMA fan first and foremost. I'll get my thoughts organized here as I say this. It's exciting to see MMA take off the way it has been over the last few years, to the point where you can get kids like Sage Northcutt, Sergio Pettis, these young guys with lots of fucking talent coming in. But they're being hyped up in a certain way, and when they lose, I think it kind of plays a fucking toll on them. Like Sergio Pettis. He came in, he was hyped up pretty hard, and he got a mediocre record in the UFC. He's 3 wins and 2 losses. Like, they're hyping him up, and what happens when you don't perform to that level? When you're competing against the best in the world at a young age. Like, it's gotta do something psychologically, because I remember what I was like at that age. I wasn't ready to deal with fucking harsh criticism like that. I wouldn't be able to. No fucking way. I'd say, you know what? I would fucking, if that was me at that age, I would say, fuck this, go outside, light up my sandwich, chew on it, go home, and eat a bag of chips. That would probably be it. And I would say, fuck it, I'm not listening to that bullshit. So any one of these guys, or women, even Ronda Rousey, I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan. I thought the way that she carries herself in the sport, the mean mugging all the time, I think it's ridiculous. But the slack she took for getting knocked out the way she did. And mind you, she didn't touch gloves. She was kind of had the bitchy face going on, like, meh, you're not taking my gold. This is my house, kind of deal. But the girl that knocked her out, Holly Holm, she was very, very gracious. Even she congratulated. I wouldn't say she congratulated. She didn't gloat. She didn't gloat at all. She fucking gave Ronda a little hug. See, there, little buddy. So, anyway, MMA for me is an easy thing to talk about. You know what else is easy to talk about? Wine. It's the god of the nectars. No. It's the nectar of the gods. Yes, it is. I love wine. Everything about it. I can honestly say, like, I went all in when I first started drinking wine. I started off with the light-bodied ones, like the little fruity ones. When I say fruity, I don't mean like wimpy wines, but they are kind of wimpy. They got more of a fruity taste to them. Like, imagine Boone's with a little bit of balls. That would be the wines that I started out with. Like, not like the girl, not like the girly wine cooler wines, but just like a step up. Light-bodied. How's that? Then it didn't take long to move up into the medium body, like the Merlots, Malbec. And then it was the full bodies. And there isn't too many wines that I don't like. There's more, there's all kinds of wines that I like. I enjoy making wine. Winemaking is a great hobby. If you have the space to do it, I recommend it for anybody. But if you don't have the space, most places now offer fermenting on site services, and that is great. I love, like, that's a good option if you don't have the room. And you know what? You might get better wine. Who knows? Maybe they do it better than you can do it at home. Better climate. like better controls. There's people there all the time. Yeah, who knows? But I know myself, I'm kind of I like to be hands on when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, I make it in the house. Excuse me. And one thing that you do that you would need, or that I would have if I had my way, where I could do it, would be a decent sized laundry, like a laundry sink. Ones that are out in the laundry room, I think those would be a good sink to have, and a hose attachment on the tap or the faucet for the laundry sink. You do use a lot. I find I do anyway. I use a lot of water at the start when it comes to cleaning and sanitizing. So yeah, it's good to have a nice sink like that. One where you can set the bucket in it. It's a good sized bucket, like a 23-liter bucket. So yeah, and having it up high. Having it up high where you're not bent over is a big thing too. So that's things to consider when you're getting into wine. A laundry sink and like levels where you can set your buckets as you're making it. For fuck's sakes, follow them goddamn instructions. Even if you got to read them 2 or 3 times before you make your wine. Like, you want to read them carefully. That's yeah, because the simplest thing, and like read them all the way through, because they can mention something at the bottom that has an effect on like something that you're doing at that stage. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just the way I interpret things. Who knows? But I like to read them all the way through. One thing that I've noticed that some wine kits do in their instructions and some don't, that will that will improve your winemaking and experience. Put your juice in first, and then mix everything into it, and then add the water. Because if you put your juice in, and then your water, and then you mix everything in, your bucket's nearly full, and you're going to make a mess. So, yeah, like not all wine kits have those instructions. So if that's something that you do, take that into consideration. Mix all your stuff into your juice before you add your water, and then kind of mix it up a little bit. Or the way that I do it is I pour all of my juice into the bucket, and then I take a couple liters of warm water. Well, I say a couple liters. It's probably 1.5 liters, or maybe even a fucking liter. I don't know. I just dump some water in that's warm, dump it in the bag, shake it up, then dump it all out so you can get all that juice out. Then you add your shit. And that's where you want to put it up. You want to have it up high enough where you can siphon into your carboy on your secondary fermentation. Because if you don't, say if you have it just a couple inches off the ground just to keep it off the ground, you can't siphon it that way because there's a height thing. And then if you lift it up and you set it down, well then you should really wait for it to settle. So just have it sitting up high the first time. Then you don't have to fuck with it. And then after you siphon it out, you make your life a lot easier. Clean out your primary fermenter or bucket. Clean it out right away. Clean it out good. It'll make your life a lot easier. Yeah. And that being said too, you should always sterilize your carboy when you put it in. Sterilize and clean. Like I'll say sterilize, like there's cleaning and then there's sterilizing. So you have to do both of them. Sterilizing is killing whatever's there. Like if there's any there could be a little fungus left over from your previous wine kit that you made. It could turn into a mold. And that can wreck your wine. So, yeah, you got to clean that up. What else about wine? You really, you got to think about, I'm stumbling over what I'm saying, but I don't care. This is my first podcast, and it's just going to show that there's room for improvement. For sterilizing my bottles, what I found, I did some research online, and a lot of people say it's time consuming to sterilize your bottles. So, the place where I get my wine kits, you can sterilize your bottles there. And I live close enough where the bottles are dry by the time I get home. Which is great, and it's like $5. You get your bottle sterilized, and it saves you fuck, I don't even know how much it is, how long it takes to do your bottles. Just clean and sterilize 30 bottles. By the time they dry, I'm going to guess maybe 2 hours. Right? So this way, it's 15, 20 minutes and you're done. You're coming home, you cork your bottles up, and you're good to go. They also lend you the corker for free. So yeah, anyway, if you're interested in wine, or if you like wine, even if you don't like wine, get a fucking bottle of wine and start drinking that shit, because you're going to like it. And if you don't like it, there's something fucking wrong with you. I don't know how else to put it. If you don't like wine, there's something wrong with you. Wine's been around for thousands of years. So yeah. And don't get intimidated. Like, I'm the type of guy, when I go in and I start looking at wine, I'm looking at every fucking bottle in the store. And sometimes I can't decide what I want to get. So, yeah, you pretty much just gotta, when you see one, just grab it and go with it. That's the only way you're gonna find something that you like. Just keep trying different ones. Or you can be like me and you can, and I'd say probably a lot of wine drinkers out there, you can drink any bottle on that shelf and it's not gonna bother you. You're gonna like it. And like that's yeah. Price, it doesn't. Look, I had a couple of birthdays ago. Was it my birthday or Christmas? Whatever the fuck it was. It was an important day for some people. But anyway, my girlfriend got me a bottle of wine. And what was it? It was called Godwin. I'll say the name. I don't give a fuck. It was called Godwin. It was California Merlot. And it was a really good wine. And that was only a $50 bottle of wine. And in the scope of the cost of bottles of wine, that probably isn't that expensive. But that being said, even though that wine was good, most wines that I get are under $20 a bottle. So I don't think if it's your first time trying wine that you got to go spend a lot of money. Holy fuck! I've had bottle of wines that were not under 10, just around $10 and change a bottle, and they were really fucking good. And so that's just one thing too. You cannot judge a wine by the price tag on that bottle. There's a lot of good wines. I tend to gravitate towards the South American wines for some reason. If there's a difference between them, I don't know. My taster for wine isn't sophisticated, whatever you want to call it, palate, or whatever. I don't have a sophisticated one. Maybe I do. I don't know. I do enjoy the taste of wine. There's some wines that taste better. There's some Shiraz that go well with a certain type of cigarette. Let's say a left-handed cigarette. Wink, wink. That goes really well with that. I wouldn't know. This is all secondhand information, people. Like, yeah. So, but yeah, there's all kinds of good wines out there. It's more fun. I find it's more fun if you're making them. The wine kits that you get nowadays, they are very good quality. And don't get intimidated by it. You can usually get the startup gear for, I think they sell kits for it at like wine shops, hobby shops, homebrew places, whatever. Usually for, I think it's under $200 just for the gear to do it, which isn't bad when you think about all the use you can get out of it. Oh my goodness, there is one thing now. Oh, I can't wait to get this fucking thing. Because it's just, anybody that has made wine will understand this. There is a device out there, and when it's all together with the wine kit in it and everything like that, it looks like an ice cream cone. And it's got a little a good sized ball valve at the bottom. So when you put your wine in, you're letting it do the primary fermentation thingy. You close the valve. After that's all done, you take the bottom off. And then you clean out all your little sludge and shit like that. There's your primary fermentation. You do your secondary fermentation in the same fucking thing. You do everything in this one container without taking it out at all. It's just like a little fucking ball valve at the bottom. That's all. Like you can just leave it all in there. You can do all your stirring in there. And it just looks like a little ice cream cone. It's fucking cool. I forget what the name of it is. anybody that's listening to this and they happen to go through all of the steps of listening to this, going to, what the fuck is that name again? tinshedpodcast.com. If you go to the contact page, there's links that you can click that will take you to Facebook and Twitter. I never did Instagram yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know enough about the fucking thing yet. Or whatever else these kids are doing now. I don't know. I know the Facebook and I know the Twitter. So that's what I'm going to stick with for now. And my email is also there. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the fucking ice cream cone. If anyone knows what the actual name of that is, if anybody listens to this and they know what it is, post that for me, would you? Because I'm kind of interested in it. And, yeah. And, how do you sign off on a podcast? What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to have a saying for the end of it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. Yeah, why not? I've done 31 minutes of this. Okay. Hopefully I'll have something for you next week. Maybe I'll be better organized. Yeah, fuck that. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not going to be better organized. I'll write down a few notes and then I'll just wing it from the rest of it. Swear a little bit. Raise my voice! Talk low. Like they're watching us. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll have some other stuff to talk about next week. Like I said, if anyone listens to this and there's something that they'd like to comment on, go to tinshedpodcast.com. Click on the links to the Facebook and the Twitter. Or email. I'll answer your questions, or if there's something that you would think that would be interesting to talk about, let me know. Thanks to anyone that listens to this. If you like it, tell people about it, and hopefully they can listen to it too. Or keep the secret to yourself, and you can say, I listen to the best podcast ever, but I'm not going to tell you. Well, don't call it the best podcast ever, because we know you're lying if you do. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good week. Get yourselves a fucking bottle of wine, and I'll see you next week, or I'll talk next week.